Egypt, an ancient land riddled with secrets, curses, and unsolved mysteries. Psychic medium Derek Acorah and me, Tessa Dunlop, travel to the world's most fascinating kingdom in a quest to uncover the truth. Oh my God! Upper Egypt's Valley of the Kings, resting place for many of the mightiest pharaohs' tombs. All of which were built by men who lived in this village. It was a village that seems to have once been terrorised by a particular man. This is the story of Paneb, the tomb builder.
He was a nasty, despicable man.
Egypt is renowned for its imposing temples, stunning palaces, and exquisite burial chambers. But kings and their riches were not the norm. Most people were ordinary working citizens. Historical evidence tells us about a community of craftsmen and their families who lived in the village of Deir el-Medina. Their job was to build tombs for the pharaohs, but their lives involved more skullduggery than a soap opera. This is ancient Egypt as you've never seen it before.
They beat him to a pulp, they beat him to the ground. Like the mafia, people wouldn't step forward through fear.
Our story begins over 3,000 years ago, when a workers' foreman called Neferhotep decided to adopt a young man named Paneb as his son and successor. It was a decision he would live to regret. Paneb soon caused havoc in the village, seducing women, conspiring against friends, thieving and threatening violence. Not an ideal neighbour. One night, Paneb woke up everyone with his shouting, threatening to kill Neferhotep. A group of men tried to intervene. There were bloody fights. Paneb really did cause chaos in the village. And yet, rather than him being punished, it was Paneb who went directly to the pharaoh and had his grand vizier, that's the pharaoh's right-hand man, sacked. Soon after, Neferhotep died. His brother Amenarkht expected to take over as foreman, but Paneb used bribery to ensure that it was he who was named successor. An outraged Amenarkht soon wrote a letter of complaint direct to the pharaoh Seti II, with a long list of Paneb's alleged crimes, and accused him of killing Neferhotep. But evidence suggests the letter never reached the king. Why? Were these accusations true? Was Paneb really such a villain? Or was Amenarkht just a jealous rival? That's what I've come to find out with the help of Derek Acorah. Derek and I are on the trail of one of Egypt's most infamous tomb builders, the villainous Paneb. You know, I'm really excited about bringing Derek here to Deir el-Medina because it should give us all a chance to spend a bit of time trying to understand how everyday Egyptians lived. But before that, I think it's important that we take Derek to one of the pharaoh's tombs that these workers were actually involved in building. And I've singled out Seti II's tomb because that's the one that Paneb may have actually stolen things from. Joining us is Rauya Ismail, an eminent Egyptologist with extensive knowledge of this area and its inhabitants. Gosh, Rauya, these lines are just absolutely exquisite. I take it this is Seti.
That's King Seti, yeah.
And if this was his tomb, the pharaoh's tomb, to what extent can we imagine that a workman like Paneb would have had a relationship with him, if at all?
Well, yeah, if at all it was that Paneb was working as the chief of the workers, there must have been a close relationship every now and then for the king to check on his work.
So we have this sort of demigod, if you like, in terms of the pharaoh.
Absolutely.
Probably liaising with a humble artisan.
This humble artisan is very important for him because he's doing his place of eternity. This to the king was the place that would preserve his body until the resurrection. That was a big dream for them.
Here we have Paneb, a great artist, also a foreman, but a bit of a naughty boy.
He was certainly using some of the workers that were supposed to be doing the work here, using them to do his own work, like feeding his ox back in the village and doing his own tomb.
In other words, what you've got is an extremely corrupt individual who's been trusted to work on the highest piece of art in the land, and he's actually usurping tools and manpower for his own use.
That's true.
What a rascal. So here we are at one of the scenes of Paneb's alleged crimes, the tomb of his friend King Seti II, and the walls are covered with Paneb's own handiwork, making it the perfect place for Derek to begin our paranormal investigation.
Well, as we've just come this short passageway, within the residual energy wafting up from below, which suggests to me spiritually and psychically that there was a lot of business, of course there was, by a group of men that were very eager and keen to complete and do the best that they could do. And I'm picking up this sensitivity that's belonging with a soul figure, a man, and he'd be very, very, very good in his artwork. He'd be exceptional. He'd be tremendous.
You're smiling, do you like him?
Yes. If we move down, I feel something maybe awaiting, I don't know.
Great, let's go for it.
Okay. Now coming down into this area, that sensitive energy is absolutely engulfing this ether. And it's joyousness, and it's trust, and it's commitment, and it's beavering work. Till we must complete. We must do it to the finest level. And it's like as if the king greeted in an unashamed way his presence.
Could that mean that he was only listening to this person, or he was listening to others, but he trusted just that person?
Well, I fully trusted this person, so much so, more than anyone, one being the mighty king, and the other being a worker, but very artistic, that they had something so close in common, it's like as if they had a bond like brothers.
Can we focus on this individual, this man, the worker who has a bond with the king?
I keep on, sorry. Is it my lips, my mouth wants to word, and it could be the energy trying to come through to me. Ma'am. I can't get it, Sam. I just like to talk to my guide, Mum. Is it Amanak?
Still to come, Derek senses a strong presence. Exposes someone's sinister side.
There was threats and then followed through by violence.
He's confused.
Yeah.
He's scared. And in the village, a dark secret is unearthed.
He would probably give you ill feeling and touching you.
Let go, I want to go there.
He's totally been exposed at last.
We're investigating the real ancient Egypt, the lives of rival tomb builders, Paneb the villain, and Amenarcht, his arch enemy.
Beavering work. Till we must complete.
We're in a pharaoh's tomb where apparently the much-feared Paneb stole from. So far, Derek's picked up on an unusual presence. You're smiling, do you like him?
Yes, I do.
Tell us about Amenarcht.
Well, Amenarcht was the one who had the complaint.
So this may help you, Derek. We've
Yes.
got, in an instance here, a struggle, competition, if you like,
Yes.
between two artisans. One, Amenarcht,
Yes.
and on the other hand, a man called Paneb.
Yeah, we just... I can tell you from this point that one of these two energies, these two men, one was a person who was sneaky, Parnell. He was the one that was the secretive one. So this is why there was this feud, if you like, between the two. Two people very artistic, one with sensitivity and the other not so. That's the way it's coming at me here. He had a cunning about him, a very deep cunning. He was also intelligent. He could manipulate people. This is what it was. This is what it was. The relationship between the king and Paneb was very, very close. Okay? However, there was a greater depth where Amenak had with the king, and Peneb knew this. I'm aware of around my shoulders now. I can feel my shoulder blades at the back. So his energy is close by now. All he has to do, Sam, show him how to do it. And just talk to my guide. Let him in. Oh!
Amenacht? Are you there, Amenacht? What's happening, Derek?
He's not done it. He's not done it. He's come part the way, Sam. He come in. He come in so far. And it's like it's a dropping of his energy. As his energy gently came to the shoulders, then I had a surge to my face. And I felt as if my face was going smaller. I felt his feeling as if he wanted to thrust forward again, and I feel he would have made it.
We came in here expecting, Derek, for you to feel or sense a man called Paneb.
Yes.
And in fact, what you predominantly felt or picked up was the presence of Amenacht. The rival, the embittered rival of Paneb, which we know from historical evidence. And I think that must be the next stage of our investigation.
Okay, good.
All right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so we've just been inside Seti's tomb. And in there, we expected Derek to pick up on Paneb. And in fact, he seemed to have much more of a sense of another character, possibly this rival of Paneb's, Amenacht.
That's true, which was very surprising to me, because I didn't really expect Amenacht to be that close to Pharaoh.
It's like as if they had a bond like brothers.
We have his letter of complaint, and the letter of complaint was written on papyrus, not on a potsherd or a piece of stone, which made Egyptologists think that it was a real serious complaint that needed to go to Pharaoh.
The relationship between the king and Paneb was very, very close. However, there was a greater depth where Amenak had with the king,
He probably was afraid, that's one thing. Maybe he was being a sensitive person, didn't want to really talk bad about another person no matter how bad he was. But the other stronger possibility is that Paneb was a very manipulative person, more than you can imagine, that he wouldn't even let anything reach Pharaoh. This is why Amenarch didn't have a chance.
Amenarch was resentful and perhaps even afraid of Paneb, his young nephew, who was now his boss. So why didn't he communicate this to King Seti? Before I take Derek to Deir el-Medina, I want to find out more about the working life of the tomb builders, Paneb and Amenarch.
Now, Derek, this is the route that Paneb and his workers would have taken on their way to and from the Valley of the Kings.
Yes.
And they'd have spent about a week working. So rather than go home, they'd have taken up this way station as their place of rest. And ideally what I was hoping was that you can maybe spend a bit of time here and see if you can pick up on any activity.
Well, Tess, just as we've actually arrived here, I'm picking up this like busyness. It's like I get this talking, and then suddenly it's as if it's cut off. And it's like a quietude, and maybe that's an aspect of everyone resting at the same time.
So if we just have a little wander around,
yes,
and feel free to stop anywhere you want to.
Okay, we can go, because I'm drawn, I feel as if I need to go further up here. I also, now whilst we're here, I feel as if there would have been that's exactly what went on. Okay. There would have been, when these group of men were together and they were settled, I feel they had actually meetings. And maybe Paneb himself heralded, I don't know, it's like as if they're talking about important things, issues, work issues. Something else happened here. There was some kind of fracas, fighting, where they really got stuck into each other.
Testosterone fueled.
Absolutely. Okay. And some of them got whacked, and whacked hard.
Paneb, of course, was renowned for his violent streak, and we know that he was a leader.
Yes.
Was he involved in this
Not
fight?
just involved, he would be the overseer, the ringleader, yes. And I feel when he instigated this, he had already planned, it was well planned, and what he wanted to do is to see how his men, could cope with hating and see what the outcome was.
Right.
And I don't feel he was displeased. So it tells me that Paneb's men certainly did give the other group of men a hiding. Okay, if we go up this way, yeah, Tess.
So there was a fight. Paneb was involved, as always.
Yes.
A bit of a bad boy up here.
Yeah.
Now, tools went missing.
Yes.
There is evidence, in fact, that Paneb definitely instructed some of his workers to steal those tools. Did that affect sort of camaraderie, team spirit here?
You had a group of men that were not only like dishonest, negative things. You couldn't have wished for a group like them. Here we are, we've got a group of baddies who are into this and into that.
Do you know, it sounds a wee bit like the school playground.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What you've said's really whetted my appetite. I've really got a picture in my head now, and I'm keen to take you and show you the village they lived in, Deir el-Medina.
Okay.
Come on.
It's incredible to think that Deir el-Medina was once a thriving village, complete with its colourful characters and daily dramas. The village had around 70 houses, all whitewashed with bright red front doors. And some of these small dwellings housed families with up to 15 children. Arguments and disputes must have been commonplace. But Paneb was a particularly bad lot. He was a drunken lech with a tendency towards violence and committed crime after crime, and yet somehow never got convicted. In fact, if he'd been around today, he'd have made the classic soap opera villain.
It's extraordinary to imagine, Rauya, that the workers, people who built the Valley of the Kings, actually lived here.
It is, yeah. It's actually quite an amazing chance for us Egyptologists, because for once we have something about the life of the ancient Egyptians.
And these are their little houses?
These are their little houses, and you feel like you know the individuals one by one from the records that we had.
Most of Deir el-Medina's records were found on thousands of stone tablets in the village's dump. These records describe snippets of their daily life, and from these we've learnt so much about characters like Paneb.
The tomb that Paneb built for himself when he was really just a manual worker is here. Really impressive. What was it about this man? Why did he have such an extraordinary hold over the village?
Our next investigation has brought us to an area normally closed off to the public, but we've been allowed special access to Paneb's own tomb.
Very dark.
Isn't it very dark as well?
And where's Paneb himself? Can we see him?
Paneb is here as Osiris is the dead, but you can see him in his real human form here. That must be him and his wife behind him.
Can you see that, Derek?
Yes, I can.
So that might help, Derek. We'll give you some time there, a bit of space.
Okay. You know, just now, as Rowan was talking, I get this. I don't know if this man Paneb had hearing difficulty,
Really?
but certainly like a deafness. It could be to one ear, but there was certainly some kind of problem with ears. And there would be fits of, we would call it temper, but like a flurry of temper with this person. I feel that would cause him to go off in this sort of temper because he couldn't hear properly. I'm quietly, whilst we're here in this tomb area, is to actually ask whether this man is willing to step forward and be announced, if not recognised.
While we give Paneb a bit of time,
Yes.
you'll remember, Derek, we were in Seti II's tomb, the Pharaoh's tomb, and this, you picked up on the second character who historically we know about, Amenakt, a rival.
Amenakt.
What is it?
At this moment in time, I don't know what harm this man did to Amenakt. For him to record it and report in paper form, letter form. But I'm guessing as if there was threats now, because they're in this tomb here. Threats, maybe firstly directed at the good man, and then followed through by violence.
Still to come, Derek senses a sinister presence.
They beat him to a pulp, they beat him to the ground.
Did they kill him? Did they kill
Our
him?
pitch-dark investigation unearths some shocking information.
He would give you ill feeling and touching you.
Let go, I want to
do
go
all the
now.
things.
And we reveal a
At last,
scandal.
The whole thing is being exposed.
We're in the historic village of Deir el-Medina, investigating the lives of Egypt's most notorious tomb builders, Paneb and Amenakt.
There was this feud, if you like.
So far, Derek's exposed some interesting detail.
There was a greater depth where Amenakt had with the king, and Paneb knew this. There was threats and then followed through by violence.
So you're picking up that Paneb was violent towards Amenakt?
I feel he was. It appears that Paneb got others to attack Amenakt because he did get to know and find out that he was not the only person that was close to the king.
So what did he do?
I feel that he had I don't know what. I keep on getting 2 to 3 people, other men surrounding Ammanacht. And I feel there was damage to his physical. I feel he was knocked to the ground, he was hurt.
So Paneb basically bullied Ammanacht, physically bullied him?
Yes, we're talking about a man that quite easily could convince others of his loyalty and goodness. He could also manipulate.
But how did Paneb's life end? Is he even buried in here, for instance? This is his tomb.
He wasn't. This is not his resting place.
You're sure about that?
Yeah. Now, had he been here, had this been a resting place, there's a likelihood for the period of time we've been here discussing for him to pay a little visit.
And he hasn't.
And he hasn't. So that tells me this is not his final resting place.
Was this comparatively a big,
No,
splendid...
actually, for us as Egyptologists, we believe he'd never been buried here because he didn't feel content with the fact that it's too small for his bigger position now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wanted to have a better and a bigger and a more elaborate tomb.
Is Paneb in any way implicated with his father's death?
I feel that Paneb most certainly did not murder his father. That's what I get.
Is he a killer? Has he killed?
Yes. Oh, yes.
But he didn't kill this man who he called father?
No, he didn't.
Do we know in the end what happens to Paneb?
He did die of a natural death. He died a painful death. He died a very a sad man. The ego was absolutely squashed to zilch from what it was so strong in the earlier years, and he died a broken man.
The relationship between Paneb and this other wannabe foreman, Ammanacht, seems complicated. I mean, history suggests it was complicated. Derek then added to the mix that Paneb was violent to Ammanacht.
We never thought that he was violent to Ammanacht, but it could have been.
Derek did seem to confirm what I think was your suspicion, that he didn't kill his father, Neferhotep.
I must admit I was so happy when he said this, because no matter how corrupted we are, there's still some part of us that should be good.
We know that Paneb climbed the greasy pole quite quickly, but Derek mentioned he died a broken and lonely man. Do you think this is possible?
Quite possible for someone who did as much of bad deeds as Paneb. I would expect an end like this.
Derek felt that Paneb did not murder his foster father, as Ammanacht claimed in his letter to King Seti II. But there were other misdeeds that Paneb would certainly not have wanted the pharaoh to know about. So is this a clue as to why the letter never reached its destination? Did Paneb somehow intercept it? And if so, why go to such an extreme? It's the dead of night, and we're about to enter the village of Deir el-Medina. This is the first time that people have been allowed in there for years, alone, late at night. I tell you what, even the weather's changed. It feels clammy, there's a weird wind, it's very eerie. And this is before Derek's arrived on the scene. Well, Derek, right, we're entering now Deir el-Medina, and we actually know where Neferhotep, Paneb's father, lived, and Ammanacht, the man who you picked up on. So
Yes.
we'll be going to their houses. But
Okay.
feel free to, let us know when
We're
you
just
start.
stepping here now. This has taken on an amazing difference in effect with the atmosphere, the outside ether. It's because I felt, and just as we were walking there, quite quickly, of an elevation of the energy of a spirit person that was standing directly behind you. And this man is smaller than you in height. If you happen to feel touch, or a tugging or anything of that sort of nature, don't be alarmed, and certainly don't be afraid, because I feel this is maybe what this person is trying to or want to achieve. Can we go over this threshold? I'm aware of a man. Thank you, Sam. That's it. Of it, the movement of a man, as if I want to, like, pace up and down here, as if, and I've got something in my hand, and I want to hide it. I want to place it under something. I want it covered up. I want it. I don't want it to be seen. He's
confused?
Yeah.
He's scared?
Yeah, I feel there's a nervousness at that point in time with him to conceal this container or what have you. He wants to conceal it away from eyes. And he was in a rush when he was doing this. This man is the same man that was behind Rora's shoulders. I don't want to make this sound like a question, but Amanak, was he here?
This was his house?
Yes.
You okay there?
I don't know why, but the thoughts now that come in here is if it's like driving my psyche in that direction. It's like, come on, you come this way.
Okay.
Isn't my vision looking across? This area here was Amanak was threatened.
Here, Amanak?
Here, somewhere here. When these two men who do come back, these two men do come back into this atmosphere, there is still that there's not been a change in the dislike for each other. And it's like this hatred, it's still going on to this day.
You're saying they haven't, I mean, even Amanak haven't got over this yet?
It is.
To this
he
moment?
still hasn't got over. Amanak has still not got over what was administered against him.
Would it help to know that Paneb spent time in this house? This was his father's house. Well, the man who adopted him, this was his house.
This, the anger, yes. It was here in this area, okay, where Amanak was, this attack took place. Two men who were ordered, if you like, who were in legions, who would do anything for. Now someone's trying to drop my, break my psychic flow. Help me with this, Sam. Come on. I know who's doing that. Okay, is that Penup's influence? Okay. The container? Bless you, thank you. The man who was going through, hiding, Amanak, he was hiding a container, holding something of value, hiding it, and that's why he was attacked? Okay, that's better, Sam. He was attacked by these two men on the orders. Okay. To get him to bring back the container and the contents. That's why I come over here, why I was focused by Amanak to come over here. He came here, he took the container from this dwelling, and he thought he'd not been seen. He went and he hurried back into his home to hide the container, so he had proof. He had proof.
Still to come. As we enter an ancient village temple, Derek has an awful reaction to Paneb's reign of terror.
Derek, that's enough now. Come out.
There was abuse.
Our paranormal investigation has brought us to Deir el Medina, an Egyptian community terrorized by one man, Paneb, the infamous tomb builder.
He could manipulate people.
But why did his rival Amenark's letter never reach the pharaoh?
This Amenark was threatened. He took the container from this dwelling and he thought he'd not been seen. He went and he hurried back into his home to hide the container, so he had proof. He had proof.
What was in the container, Derek?
There was information. There was information and articles that would prove to the authority that what Paneb was about, what he was like, and that he actually sent these two men to kill Amenark.
Did they kill him?
No. No, they didn't.
They didn't kill him.
They didn't kill him.
They didn't kill him.
And I'm seeing a light, a spirit light.
Where?
Over in that dwelling there. It's because I'm talking about it, because I'm uttering what they want me to utter, what Amenark wants me to utter. They beat him. They beat him to a pulp. They beat him to the ground. They left him in a sorrowful state. And they said they were coming back. They were coming back.
I'm just going to take you here, see what you pick up.
Just briefly there, I heard a woman screaming.
A woman?
A young woman. They're making me aware from the world of spirit here that this young lady's cries and crying out was heard, but people wouldn't step forward through fear. There was cover-up after cover-up. Amenark was the only one who was prepared to do. He took on the reign of the fear. And that's why he did what he did, and for the consequence he was beaten to a pulp and threatened with his life to be taken away. I feel that Paneb was nearing on the edge at times of insanity. I feel when these feelings came to him, they're like demons. He'd become bestial. He could have been capable of asking anyone to do anything for him. I've got this feeling of authority, so much so that I feel as if I'm lording it all over here. It's like mafia. And I get this fear that was once here, and walking this passageway, and it must have felt to this person as if he was like a god.
Aurelia, tell us where you're taking us.
We're actually going to the Ptolemaic temple, which is the same area of the ancient temple that was built at the very beginning of using this village, which had an oracle that the villagers would go and consult if they're suffering any problem.
Yes.
And it's still kept on within the Ptolemaic temple, this idea of the oracle.
Okay.
So a bully like Paneb may well have been talked about to the oracle.
Yes, okay. Very quickly of a group of men, not one, a group of them. If we hold hands, if we may. We ask to be receivers of your purity of light of truth. didn't. It wasn't listened to. Oh my God. This man, Penab, he was on the brink of being mad. He'd taken himself so far in the power of what he could do and what he'd get away with. He was a nasty, despicable man. He would, if his nature of spirit was here now, he would actually come around you ladies and he would probably give you ill feeling and touching you and doing all the things. But can I tell you, okay, this horrible man, he even touched upon on a couple of occasions.
Stop, Derek, that's enough now. Come out.
There was abuse.
Come out now.
Derek's assistant Ray steps in to help.
Keep speaking.
I'm sorry I left you to leave you. Who was it? Who was it?
It's Penab.
Who was it? Paranormal.
Yes,
What was he doing? What was he doing to you? What was he saying?
He's been following us around. He's been listening. He's been listening. He's listened to all what we'd said. We've uncovered it. He's totally been exposed at last. Sam's just said there's joyousness within the realms of those that have been offended. As if they on the higher side are like, are joyous, or jumping, are joyous.
How does it feel, Derek? How are you feeling about having exposed that?
At last, the whole thing is being exposed, and the truth.
Come on.
Thank you.
Our time spent in the village of Deir el-Medina has really been remarkable. This was where, for nearly 500 years, individual families lived and worked in order to create the legendary Valley of the Kings. But Derek's unearthed a sinister edge to this community.
He'd become bestial. He actually sent these two men to kill.
Records show that Penab was a rogue, but Derek believes the truth is even darker.
He was a nasty, despicable man. And there was abuse.
Come out now.
He was violent. He abused people. He even murdered. However, one person dared to try and expose him.
Amanach was the only one.
Despite his attempt to get hold of incriminating evidence, perhaps to back up the claims of his letter, Amanach didn't succeed, according to Derek.
He was beaten to a pulp and threatened with his life to be taken away.
It's no wonder his letter never reached the pharaoh.
He's totally been exposed at last.
More than 3,000 years on, Derek believes the truth is now out.